Thank you, Chairwoman. I want to thank Chairman Bass for allowing me to waive into this committee, and Ms. Lake. It's hard to say Ms. Lake. I know you as Kari, and so does
You can call me
everybody
Kari.
so does everybody in Arizona. And Kari, for everything you had to endure in this committee hearing, especially not just here, but what you had to endure in 2022. And I know you're a fighter for the truth. We all know what happened with our elections in 2020 and 2022 and the tentacles of the Communist Chinese Party, which has just been reported by John Solomon, and how they were trying to impact the 2020 election. I know FBI Director Kash Patel is trying to get to the bottom of it. It's scary that they've infiltrated so many aspects of our government, and especially the Voice of America. And right here in the Congress, I don't know if you knew this, but the China Daily newspaper was actually being distributed all across Congress in every single office. And I helped lead the charge to ban the China Daily newspaper from being distributed in the halls of Congress, which I'm proud of. But it concerns me that the Chinese have infiltrated the Voice of America and they were having meetings at the embassy. Can you expand on what access did the Communist Chinese have within Voice of America?
Well, they have more say, this is sad, over editorially what VOA and puts out than someone like me who's been charged with helping to oversee this agency because of an editorial firewall. Key lead management and leadership at U.S. Agency for Global Media cannot have focus in or tell the folks what they should be covering at Voice of America. Unfortunately, the CCP can. And I read this a little bit earlier, but and I don't know if I should read it again, but they're literally were attending meetings at the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. And this is a report that I find rather shocking, and I mentioned it. Starting in the first decade of 2000, the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. and the leadership of VOA's Mandarin service began an annual meeting to allow embassy officials to voice their opinions about VOA's content. They even convinced the former leadership during Biden's administration to cut short an interview. They wanted the whole thing canceled. They convinced VOA leadership to cut short an interview with a whistleblower who was critical of the CCP. And this just continues. This is an article that came out, I believe it was in March. VOA's senior executives frequently traveled to China, attending state-sponsored events and meeting with Chinese embassy officials. These meetings weren't casual diplomatic exchanges. They involved soliciting feedback on VOA's programming. Congressman Hamadeh, if VOA decided to run a hit piece on you, and it was full of lies, and they called you and told you they were going to run that, and you wanted to say, hey, let's clear this up because that's not true, this isn't true, and I suggest you don't run the story, they could sue you for a firewall violation. But yet, a CCP official can tell them how to run the news.
It's very dangerous. And I know we know how corrupt some of these courts are, and I know that there is a big challenge right now trying to stop the authority that you have and trying to reform the VOA. And you got to win this battle because President Trump needs this in order to make America great again.
Apparently, there are judges who want to run an agency rather than be judges. And, you know, my suggestion to those judges, if they really want to run an agency, go to usajobs.gov and apply for a job.
Well, we know many of them are politicians in black robes. Kari, I want to talk about after President Trump's successful strike on the Iranian nuclear facilities, he put out a post on X that had it translated his speech in Farsi. So you were able to do that with the statutory minimums within the VOA?
Yes, we were. We were, and it wasn't a scramble, as many said. It was typical breaking news where you jump in when news happens. And our team, our Persian team, were able to jump in when news broke, when the bombs hit, and we were in place, ready to go when President Trump delivered his historic address. We had it broadcast on the air and digitally as well, online, and it was translated simultaneously in Farsi. Even though some people said we didn't do that, we in fact did. There's a lot of lies out there, and unfortunately people, some of the Democrats in this room believe the lies, or they know they're lies and they want to repeat them. But we were live on the air. That is, I think, what I heard from one of the members on our team, the most people saw that tweet than any other tweet that we've ever done on VOA Farsi.
Incredible. Well, thank you, Ms. Lake, for being here, and thank you for always fighting for the truth. And in many ways, I wouldn't be here in Congress without your help and your support. So thank you again, Kari.
Thank you.
I yield back, Mr. Chairman.